alive in us, and nothing can take your place. You are all we need, and your love has set us free. How we doing, Impact Weekend? Come on, we want to see you guys sing. We want to hear you guys dance. Come on. Everybody put your hands together. I was lost with a broken heart. You picked me up, now I'm set apart. From the ash I am born again, forever safe in the Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. I follow you, Lord, for all my days. Fix my eyes, follow in your ways. Forever free in unending grace. Come on! 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, we lift you higher. Your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are alive in us, and nothing can take your place. You are all we need, and your love has set us free. Everybody! Come on, sing it out! In the midst of the darkest night, let your love be the shining light, breaking chains that were holding me. You sent your son down and set me free, and everything of this world will fade. I'm pressing on till I see your face. I will live that your will be done. I won't stop till your kingdom come. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, we lift you higher. Your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are alive in us, and nothing can take your place. You are all we need, and your love has set us free. Oh, jump, 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 jump. Come on, everybody. Sing it out. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher. Oh, you are my freedom. We lift you higher, we lift you higher. Your love, never ending. Oh, oh, oh. You are alive in us, nothing can take your place. You are all we need, your love has set us free. You are alive in us, nothing can take your place. You are all we need, your love has set us free. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. You guys can have a seat. Thanks for singing.
What's up,
Hey!
everybody?
Welcome to Impact 2016.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Woo!
Awesome. Well, my name is Brett. I get the privilege of being the director of the middle school ministry here at our campus.
Yeah. And I'm Kyle, and I look after the high school ministry, and we are just so glad to see everybody here tonight.
Yeah. Now,
Who are these people up here?
who are the latter people?
Oh my gosh,
Dude,
they were awesome.
That was awesome.
Let's give them a round of applause. Brett, where were they from?
Yeah, so how many of you guys go to Rolling Rice? Yeah, so some of you guys already knew who that was. That is a group called Trash Can Therapy. They are all middle schoolers at Rolling Rice, and we thought that'd be a cool way to kick off what we're doing here at Impact 2016.
Absolutely. Why would we pick something like that to kind of kick off and represent what are we doing this weekend, Brett?
All right. Well, we are doing a lot of stuff this weekend, but the theme of the weekend is the word absurd. And so we thought ladders and drumsticks.
It's pretty absurd.
It's pretty absurd.
It's absurdly awesome,
Yeah.
but it's pretty it's pretty absurd.
So tell us about absurd. What are we doing?
Yeah, so this weekend we are all here as student ministries to just come together, worship, celebrate together. But tomorrow we all have the opportunity to go and to serve our city, to love on other people, and to do some amazing projects. And it's awesome that with this idea of serving and loving people, quite honestly, it's a pretty absurd idea, right? It's a pretty absurd idea. This world tells us to always focus on us, but God tells us to love others. And so we said, you know what? Let's use that word absurd to describe what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we should do something absurd right now.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like with them?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Oh, I have an idea. I was on YouTube this week, and I
ideas.
saw this ridiculous video that maybe I thought we could try to recreate.
Like in here?
Yeah, like it's some other country. I don't know whether it's Spain or South America, but I know they speak Spanish.
So not English.
Not English.
So Spanish. Okay.
And I saw this
Portuguesa.
video, and I'm like, man, we should try to. It's pretty absurd what they're doing. We should try to redo it.
So what is it?
Like, take a look at this video.
Oh, okay.
This is it.
All right. Look up here, maybe.
Yeah, I ripped it, and I said, let's watch this.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So
What are they doing?
they're making a human tower. So they're like cramming
wait a
in and
second.
creating a base, and then people are like standing on top of the base of people.
Oh my
And-
goodness!
Yeah, it's pretty absurd.
That's like 40 feet up.
But look, there's little children with helmets climbing up, like the helmets.
No way!
As if the helmets will
That
do
is
anything from that height.
absurd.
It's absurd.
Gosh,
Look at
that's
that.
like 100
Look how
feet.
high they are.
Oh my goodness! Ay ay ay!
Ay,
Is that what
caramba.
they-
Oh no, he's struggling. He is
Oh my
struggling.
God.
Well, look, check out these little girls.
These
They're
girls,
like,
yeah, they must be
They're
light.
like my children's age.
Like 6th graders, maybe?
I think they're younger than 6th graders, but they may be the size.
Oh,
of
look at
some-
these kids!
Oh
Oh,
my
my
gosh.
goodness! What kind of parent would let their kids do this?
I would not.
They must not have had a
They
parent
do not
network.
have social service, child protective services in
Oh
this
my
country.
gosh!
Yeah, so
Look.
that's it. And they just slide down like it's a pole.
Cool.
That's ridiculous. All right, so I thought we could do that.
All right, wait. You want student
Yeah.
ministries to do that
So
in
we
here?
need. Who are the small? We need the two smallest girls.
All right,
in
two
the
smallest
room.
girls. Look
Um,
right here.
So we got to get everybody organized.
All right, ready? Let's
let's start building the
Let's get in
tower.
the middle right here.
Yeah, right there. We
We
got
need-
two girls.
All right,
Go.
ready?
Start
Go.
going. Okay, we're just kidding.
Yeah,
we're not gonna do
we
that.
can't do that. You
That's
get-
ridiculous.
Yeah, we'd get
No,
sued.
We would.
No way.
Your parents signed waivers, but
Yeah, I
not
know.
to do that kind of stuff.
Golly, but that's pretty absurd, isn't it?
Yeah. So
That's-
we're gonna take that to another level,
Okay.
or a different level.
Okay.
Everybody in here, when you walked in, checked in, got a balloon. That is your team. Your balloon tells you what team you're on. All around the room, you see a red dot right
Red.
there, orange, yellow with an X.
Pink.
That's the pink one right there. It looks red, but that's pink right there. You need to go and get in your group based
But
on your
don't do
balloon.
anything yet.
Adults too. If you don't have a balloon, adults, find a team that doesn't have a lot of adults.
Go
It's okay.
to your color.
So you got 1 minute to get in your groups. Go.
Don't blow up those balloons yet, okay? Hold on to them.
Don't blow them up. Don't pop them.
All right. We got a judge from over
All right.
here.
Now that over there looks pretty good. Yellow.
Oh my goodness.
But they're not all
They're holding
connected.
on.
And you're still putting balloons up. White over here. This is an absolute terrible job.
Yeah, it looks like
Red is pretty good right here.
looks like
they
dead
use the chair
Olaf.
for assistance. It is touching the ground.
like dead Olaf.
It is touching the ground. I don't know what's going on back there. They're still
That's
putting
creativity.
balloons up over there.
Oh my gosh, red.
And you guys are holding it, Green. I mean, I like the effort. It's tall, but you're holding it. I did like the structure that was being created over here, but it's just not very high. That one, look how big, look at
This is pretty awesome
Look
right
at
here.
orange over here, though. That's pretty good. Unassisted. Jim, are you holding that? What have you let go?
I don't know, that far one over there, I don't think anybody's holding it. They were creative with the wall. Is it touching the ground, though?
Is yours touching the ground in the back? No, back there.
Theirs is not touching the ground
In the
back.
corner.
It is touching the ground.
That one? No, not yours, Garrett. The other. You are still adding balloons. They're having a balloon
Look,
party.
they're
Look at Jim's.
freestanding
It's
over here.
unassisted.
Unassisted freestanding.
Jim Gratton's team right there. Yellow X's. I think that's the winner.
You guys win.
Yeah. So.
Good job.
All right, listen.
Come on
so,
up here.
Here's what you need to do for me. Everybody needs to take their balloons and put them in the cafe. Take your balloons. Do not pop them. Put all of them in the cafe.
Jim Gratton team.
Jim Gratton's team, you got prizes right here.
I'm coming up here to give you your prizes right now.
Balloons in the cafe. We're going to invite the band back up once everybody's ready to go. Do not pop them. Stop popping the balloons. Send them into the cafe.
Hey guys, balloons to the cafe, all right?
All right, so while the balloons are going in the cafe, we're going to invite the band back out.
I
was a
said,
dead
I think the
Olaf.
white one looked like dead Olaf,
That's
right?
pretty good.
Sorry, it's just reality. Good effort, though.
All right, balloons in the cafe.
Balloons.
And once your balloons are in the cafe, you can join us right up here.
All right. All right, so as everybody is throwing balloons in the cafe, I want you guys to all stand up, run around if you need to, go give somebody a high five, and then join the band up here in a second for some worship.
Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. A perfect love realized here with you. Yeah, this love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. This is real love, this is real love. This is real love, this is real love. Oh. Closer and closer, holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom, 'cause this is real love, this is real love. In your heart, I'm found. I want you, you won't let me down. You've got me, you've got me. This love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. No, it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. You're pulling me closer and closer, and holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom, 'cause this is real love, this is real love. Oh. Sing this out. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart to the very This is real love. Oh. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. 1, 2, 3, jump! This is real love. This is real love. This is real love. This is real love. Let's dance. Come on. You're pulling me closer and closer. You're holding my heart to the very end. With Jesus I'm found in your freedom. And this is real love. This is real love. This is real love.
With every breath, with every word I speak, with every step, with every heartbeat, Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory. With every breath, with every word I speak, with every step, with every heartbeat, Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory. My life is in your hands, I trust it all. Trust it all to you, my dreams and all my plans. I trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Because of you, Jesus. Whoa. For all my days, God, you are my guide. I give you all, my heart is open wide. So Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory. All for your glory, yeah. My life is in your hands. I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans. I trust it all. Forever I'm changed. I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed. I'll never be the same. Because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Whoa. Because of you, Jesus. Whoa. You are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you. Forever in love with you. Are everything, everything. You are I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Whoa, because of you, Jesus. Whoa.
So we celebrate tonight the fact that our God's love is never ending. Let's sing this together. You came to earth that you created, and you walked beneath the stars you named. You came from heaven holding freedom. Jesus Christ, the Lord our God. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing until my voice won't let me. And as thunders roar, I'll shout your praise. You are the life and wrote yourself in, and you dwelt in time that you designed. Creator lived in his creation, completely man, completely God. So I'm gonna sing until my voice won't let me. As thunders roar, I'll shout your praise. 'Cause you're the God of everlasting wonder, and your love outlasts the end of days. So I'll lift your name higher and higher. I'll lift your praise higher and higher. And your love goes deeper and deeper. You reign forever and ever. So I'll lift your name higher and higher. I'll sing your praise louder and louder. 'Cause your love goes deeper and deeper, and you reign forever and ever. Come on. Until my voice won't let me. As thunders roar, I'll shout your praise. 'Cause you're the God of everlasting wonder, and your love outlasts the end of days. I'm gonna sing until my voice won't let me. As thunders roar, I'll shout your praise, yeah. 'Cause you're the God of everlasting wonder, and your love outlasts the end of days. Yeah, let's pray together. God, we're so grateful for this weekend where we can just come together and lift you up and learn from you and serve our community, God. I pray that as we launch this thing off, that you would begin to speak to our hearts even now, God. You would prepare us for what you're going to do this weekend. We sing these songs to remember what you've done for us, and we're grateful. It's in the name of Jesus that we sing and pray. Amen. Thank you guys for singing with us. You can go ahead and find a seat.
Absurd. The dictionary defines it as wildly unreasonable, as illogical. So if something is absurd, then we would describe it as foolish, or ridiculous, laughable, idiotic, insane, stupid. And while most of us admire those who serve, who put others first, who care about those around them regardless of what they can get in return, and if we're honest, the idea of serving seems a bit absurd.
You know what I just did? I just walked out that door, saw a couple detectives, and I was about to start bad-mouthing you behind your back, but I stopped myself because my pops taught me that a man who talks behind somebody's back is a coward.
Wow, I actually appreciate that.
Good, because I'm going to tell you directly to your face.
No, you don't have to.
No, I don't like you. I think you're a fake cop. If we were in the wild, I would attack you. Even if you weren't in my food chain, I would go out of my way to attack you. If I were a lion and you were a tuna, I would swim out in the middle of the ocean and freaking eat you.
Okay, first off, a lion swimming in the ocean? Lions don't like water. If you'd placed it near a river or some sort of fresh water source, that makes sense. But you find yourself in the ocean, 20-foot waves, I'm assuming it's off the coast of South Africa, coming up against a full-grown 800-pound tuna with his 20 or 30 friends, you lose that battle. You lose that battle 9 times out of 10. And guess what? You've wandered into our school of tuna, and we now have a taste of lion. We've talked to ourselves. We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion. We've developed a system to establish a beachhead and aggressively hunt you and your family. And we will corner your pride, your children, your offspring. How are you going to do that? We will construct a series of breathing apparatus with kelp. We will be able to trap certain amounts of oxygen. It's not going to be days at a time, but an hour 45, no problem. That will give us enough time to figure out where you live, go back to the sea, get more oxygen, and then stalk you. You just lost your own game. You're outgunned and outmanned. Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
Oh. Can we all just agree that's the most absurd interaction between two people ever? Here's what's scary is that some of you are out there going, how is a tuna going to beat a lion? You're going, could that even work? Could a lion swim out into the middle of the ocean? Here's the bottom line with that clip. It's absurd. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's not supposed to. And that's exactly why you're here. Everybody look. If you missed the video before that stupid clip, here's what absurdity is. If we were to define what it means to be absurd, it means to be wildly unreasonable and illogical. To be wildly unreasonable and illogical. And here's what I want to submit to every middle school guy and girl, every high school guy and girl, for the college students that are here, your small group leaders who've given up a weekend of their hard-earned life to be with you. There are grown men that are going to sleep in the same room as 7th grade boys, and I don't know how many of you know that's just hard, okay? There's going to be a lot of gas. All right, but the fact that you are sitting in this room, you're absurd. And let me tell you why. Because you live in a time and you live in a culture where teenagers in 2016 aren't supposed to care about the needs and the hurts and the desperation and the heartache of other people. And for some reason, you live at the beach and you've decided to serve people this weekend. It makes you absurd. It's absurd to think that there are a group of girls here in the mean girl culture, and you know it's true. Some of you will have it happen this weekend in your house, and that'll be unfortunate because you're let's love Jesus, yay us. And then you'll turn on each other and go, I love Jesus, yes I do, but I don't love you. You know, it'll turn, something will change. But the fact, girls, that you're in this room while so many of your friends aren't. And let's think about this for just a second. Middle school and high school girls alike. Consider what your friends are doing this weekend and you're here. It's absurd. For the guys in the room, where are the guys? Let me hear it from you, fellas. Girls, I don't know if you could tell, but there's a big difference between high school guys and middle school guys. Because all the high school guys are going, ooh, and all the middle school guys are going, ah! It's awesome. And one day that'll change, fellas, and it's going to be incredible. But don't leave, guys. I'm sorry I offended you. Are y'all going to the bathroom? Oh, okay. Hope everything comes out all right. The reality is, for every young man in this room, you've got friends all across this city, and they're not here. It makes you, the fact that you want to serve others, the fact that you want to give, the fact that you want to help, the fact that you are willing to sweat, the fact that you're willing to weep. Oh, this is incredible. The fact that some of you are going to have an opportunity to pray with someone who maybe no one has ever prayed with them before in their life. You, contrasted against your culture, you are wildly unreasonable and illogical. And I just want to be straight up with you. I'm not going to talk for very long tonight. I just want to be straight up with you. It's not really hard. Look at me, students. It's not really hard in your culture to be absurd spiritually. It's not really hard. Having 2 teenage daughters, both of whom are in high school, this entire week has been one story after another story of a girl who admitted to some friends, at least in our house, one of my daughter's friends who admitted to some friends that she and her boyfriend at his prom did some things that they weren't necessarily supposed to do. And some of you have experienced this before at your school, but before you know it, the entire high school knows about it. And she's literally having to walk up and down the halls of her school going, it's not true, even though she started it. Or the scores of guys and girls, a huge pack of them that got in trouble this week for cheating because somebody took a picture of a test from last year that was the same test this year and sent it to everybody. And I hope I'm not giving any of you fools any ideas, but they sent it to everybody and now everybody's passing the test. The number of guys across our school that are constantly talking about the number of girls that they're hooking up with. The number of girls at our school that are constantly bragging about what happened at spring break. And for you to decide, I'm going to exist for something bigger, more incredible, greater, something that will last more than all of that junk, makes you absolutely absurd. But it's not that hard. Because here's what most of us know. While everything else is falling down around you, for you to just decide, Jesus and others are going to mean more to me than anything else, makes you absurd. I don't know if you realize this, but there's a story in the Old Testament. Babylon at one time was ruled by this king named Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar laid siege on Jerusalem. And when he captured that city, he made an order. Girls, you'll appreciate this. Daniel chapter 1 tells us that Nebuchadnezzar's order was for his men to find young men. Girls, pay attention to this. His order was, fellas, find young men that are without physical defect. So, find all of the dudes that are like Bieberish, Channing Tatum-ish, Ryan Gosling-ish, okay? Find them. All the girls are like, thank you, Jesus. I need to read Daniel. All right, so the scriptures say that not only are they to be without physical defect, they're supposed to be handsome, and they're supposed to be incredibly smart. And they found some guys like that. Some of you are familiar with 3 of the guys that he found, or they found. A guy in what Nebuchadnezzar named them was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or a billy goat when I was growing up. That's what we called him, okay? Shadrach, Meshach, and a billy goat, and he finds them along with Daniel and some other characters, and he begins to raise them up in the ways of the Babylonians. And at one point, Nebuchadnezzar, this king, is an absolutely narcissistic cat. You ever met anybody? Is there anybody at your school or in your life? All they think is me, myself, and I. You know anybody like that? Girls, you know some fellas like that? They're all about themselves. Fellas, you know some girls? Yeah, you do. All right, so Nebuchadnezzar was that guy to this degree that he decided to build the equivalent of the Statue of Liberty, but of himself. So he builds a giant statue of himself, and then he creates a command or law all across the land that there was going to be a certain time where everybody is going to come out. He's going to have this incredible band, and they're going to play this unbelievable song. And when the band starts playing, everybody in the kingdom needs to bow down to that statue of Nebuchadnezzar. And as the story goes, the statue of Nebuchadnezzar is built, the band is assembled, and it is loud and obnoxious, and all across the land, standing in front of this statue, are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Babylonians and captured Jewish young men. And as the story goes, in fact, we'll throw this up on the screen, some of Nebuchadnezzar's own guys come to him and say this in Daniel chapter 3, verse 12. There are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. These without physical defect, handsome, smart guys, a bunch of Lee Taylors, okay? All of these guys that you've set over, and that you've set, don't tell him I said that. All these guys that you have set over the province of Babylon, 3 of them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they pay no attention to you, your majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold that you've created. And let me tell you why. Look at me, guys and girls, why they were so visible. They did one simple thing. Psst. When everybody else bowed down, they stood. When everybody else was doing what everybody else knew they should do, when everybody else was doing what culture told them to do, when everybody else was doing the cool, faddish thing, they simply stood. They didn't say a word. They didn't act a certain way. They didn't look at everybody else and go, shame, shame, know your name. They didn't look around at everybody on their knees going, cowards. They stood. And you've got to understand this. Nebuchadnezzar was a crazy dictator fool. And you know he was. Because for those of you that know the story, what happened to these 3 guys? They got thrown in a giant furnace. That's not the part that I want you to see. Because let's just be honest. If you know the rest of the story, he throws them into this giant furnace. Not only do they not burn up, but a 4th person shows up in the furnace walking around going, you smell like smoke. You know, I mean, nobody is burning up in this furnace. And every indication from theologians and biblical scholars, Jesus shows up on the scene walking around in this fiery furnace in the Old Testament. That's not the point that I want you to see. I want you to get how impactful and influential these 3 Jewish young men, fellas, were. Because did you notice, and maybe you missed it, and maybe I didn't spend enough time on it, but did you notice what book of the Bible this story is told in? It's told in the book of Daniel. Look at me. Daniel was a Jewish boy too. And have you ever asked yourself, Why is it that it was only Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that were said that didn't bow? Think about this. Every indication is that the guy who wrote the book of Daniel at one point in his life was so afraid of culture, was so afraid of being absurd, that he bowed down too, because he's not mentioned. But maybe it's because these three guys decided we're not bowing down, that it changed everything about him. So much so that 3 chapters later, he's challenged and told, don't you dare pray. And Daniel prays. Can we just be honest? Standing up when everybody else is bowing down, praying when you've been told not to pray, not difficult things, but absurd. And here's where we are. Daniel writes an entire book of the Bible because he's challenged by 3 guys who decide, I'm not going to be like everybody else. That's you here this weekend. Your absurdity has the potential not only to impact and influence those people that you're going to serve and help and love on and care for and pray for and weep with and laugh with. I'm much more concerned, look at me guys and girls, I'm much more concerned with the scores of your friends that are not here, some of whom are a part of this church, most of whom travel up and down the halls of your school every single day. And they see you. It's easy for you to be absurd this weekend. But what happens on Monday? What happens on Monday? Because your presence here is just a one giant, everybody else is bowing down, I'm going to stand up. What happens on Monday? What happens on Monday? When all the girls are doing this and all the guys are, what happens on Monday? Girls, that's really how guys are. All right, that's why we're dumb. All right, but what happens on Monday? And part of the issue is that we've become a people that kind of separate ourselves. We come to weekends like this, guys and girls, adults, college students, middle school, high school. We come to things like this and we tend to separate ourselves from our peers. And it's going to be really easy because this is Impact Weekend and you're the top guns and the best of the best. And you've given this weekend over to because of your relationship with Jesus and because you care about people. And that is admirable, incredible. And you're right. You're different from so many. But the harsh reality is that kind of thinking has slowly but surely started parting and creating this chasm with you and the people that you do life with all the time. What about your friends? Hey, adults. What about the men and women that you work beside every day? Hey, cheerleaders, what about your fellow cheerleaders? What about them? Hey, football guy, what about your teammates? Hey, smart people. There's so few of you. This girl goes, true. What about those people that you sit around all the time? And isn't it easy, students and adults alike, for us to be here this weekend and consider everybody else and think, well, look at just how good we are. And most of us in this room, and this is about to get dicey, most of us in this room don't have a significant relationship with a friend who desperately needs Jesus and you're loving the stink out of them. And maybe it's because, well, I'm different from them. Maybe it's because your parents have told you to separate and that's important and you should obey your mom and dad. Or maybe it's because you think I can't be a friend to them. Some of us in this room, adults and students alike, you think you have biblical, theological reason to not be that absurd. Stuart, me having a relationship with that guy in my class that is the worst of the worst, that's absurd. Me loving that girl who everybody is talking about in school, that's going to rub off on me. That's absurd. Me caring about those girls that went to spring break and everybody's talking bad about them, that's absurd. First of all, to think that is to literally look at how Jesus lived his life and say he didn't really live that way. Because check this out, guys and girls. If Jesus were a teenager in 2016 in Wilmington, North Carolina, he would be hanging out with your friends that aren't like you. And furthermore, 500 plus years after Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and eventually Daniel decide we're going to be absurd. So absurd, by the way, that we're talking about them thousands of years later. If you want to know how impactful a weekend like this could be, what if 100 years from now, people go, remember when a handful of students in Wilmington, North Carolina just descended on their neighborhoods, went to a senior adult center and changed the course of history by playing bingo. I mean, right? It could happen. But 500 plus years later, this guy named Paul, whose name used to be Saul, had this encounter with Jesus. It changed everything. And these were people who he was influencing, who were constantly going, separate yourself. Don't be, that kind of love is way too absurd. In fact, that's past unreasonable and illogical. This is how you should operate. Stay in your lane. Everybody do this right here. Just go, stay in your lane. Look at somebody next to you and go, stay in your lane. Everybody stay in your lane. And that's, watch. Some of y'all got some crazy lanes. Y'all are like, I can't drive. Now watch. So Paul writes a letter to all of these people who are stay in your lane people. And this is what he says. Look, 1 Corinthians chapter 5. When I wrote to you before, I told you not to associate with people who indulge in sexual sin. Now, obviously, for those of you that care, Paul had written the Corinthian church and told them, don't associate with people who are messing around, hooking up, looking at things in our equivalent, looking at things they shouldn't look at. Don't do it. Now, here's what's crazy about what Paul's saying. This is the first letter to the church in Corinth. There are two letters in the New Testament to the church in Corinth. They are aptly named the first letter to the church in Corinth and the second letter, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. The first letter, there's no mention of what Paul's talking about in the first 4 chapters. This is chapter 5. For those of you that care, most theologians and biblical scholars believe Paul wrote more than 2 letters to the church in Corinth, but only 2 were deemed worthy enough to be put in the New Testament. So he's written to these people and he says, don't associate with people who are flirting around or, hooking up and doing things that they don't need to do. And guess what the Corinthian church did? We're just going to stay with people in our lane. We're just going to stay with everybody that comes on Impact Weekend. These are going to be my 4 and no more. I'm not talking to people who do bad things. I'm not going to discuss, I'm not going to build a friendship. I'm not going to build a relationship. And so Paul writes the church in Corinth to correct their thinking. He says, I wrote you in my letter not to associate with people who indulge in sexual sin. Watch this, adults and students, because this is so good for us to talk about tonight. But I wasn't talking about unbelievers who indulge in sexual sin or are greedy or cheat people or worship idols. You would have to leave this world to avoid people like that. Because watch this. Lost people act lost. Everybody okay? See, people who cannot see walk around like they can't see. Blind people, my shad. All right, blind people act blind. And your friends that don't have a relationship with Jesus, listen, act like they don't have a relationship with Jesus. You want to be absurd? You want your life to be absurd? Check this out. Paul goes, I wasn't talking about them. He says, in that case, if you're not going to associate, have friendships and relationships with people who don't have a relationship with Jesus, you're going to have to leave this world. Go to Mars. Because by showing of hands, how many of you know somebody in your specific world and you know they don't have a relationship with Jesus? Keep it up and look around. Here's what Paul would say to you. Get on a spaceship and get out of here. Because there's no way that you can live on this earth without associating, hanging out, or being around people who don't have a relationship with Jesus. In fact, he clarifies it. He says, this is what Paul meant, I meant that you're not to associate, and this gets really, really tricky. I meant that you're not to associate with anyone who claims to be a believer yet indulges in sexual sin, greedy, worships idols, abusive, drunkard, cheats people, sixth graders. He's going, whoa, time out. I was talking about those of you in this room who have relationships with people who claim to know Jesus and they act this way. And then he makes a statement at the end of this passage that all of us need to take to heart tonight, because this is what launches us into absurdity this weekend. It isn't my responsibility, he says, to judge outsiders. It isn't your responsibility and my responsibility to judge people who don't have a relationship with Jesus. Some of you are going to serve people this weekend. And tomorrow, you're going to find yourself tempted to turn to someone and go, can you believe they act like, can you believe they say things like, can you believe they think like them? Paul goes, it's not your responsibility, it's not my responsibility to judge those people. Psst. He says, God will judge them. It's as if, I think we have a no trespassing sign up on the screen. It's as if there has been this no trespassing sign around student, culture in Wilmington, North Carolina, that Paul's going theologically and biblically and scripturally, take the no trespassing sign up. You want to live an absurd life? Be such a passionate follower of Jesus that all the goofiness of your culture doesn't tempt you. But you can love. Pat, Kyle, Brett, I hope this is not offensive, but look at me. I am 10 billion times more concerned, because I consider you guys my North Carolina family. I am 10 billion times more concerned about the guy and the girl staring me in the face on what happens Monday than I am tomorrow. Because that's where absurdity is needed. But Stuart, I just don't know if I can do that. Remember this statement. The absurd lives in the simple. The absurd lives in the simple. The absurd lives in the simple. There's another place in the New Testament where Peter talks about you and I being peculiar people. We're absurd. We're peculiar. But we're simple. Being absurd is simple. Stuart, what is it? It says wildly unreasonable and illogical. It's rooted and it lives in the simple. It's when everybody else isn't, or nobody else will care, love, serve. You will. You throw that first, the picture of the baseball player up on the screen. Anybody know who this is? Some of you may know. This guy's name is Adam LaRoche. Some of the adults may know the story, and even some of you high schoolers and middle schoolers, but Adam LaRoche a couple of weeks ago decided to retire from Major League Baseball. The reason why he had decided to retire, next picture, is because for a number of years, his son Drake has been allowed to come into the clubhouse and just, Adam and his wife homeschool Drake, and so Drake gets to go, think about this, guys, Drake gets to go to the ballpark with his dad every single day. That's his school. Hanging out in the clubhouse, shagging fly balls, taking batting practice. It's what he's done. 13-year career, Adam LaRoche is an incredible baseball player, but after 13 years, he has a conversation with the general manager of the White Sox, and the general manager of the White Sox supposedly tells him, you can't bring your son to the clubhouse anymore, and so Adam LaRoche, a very good player, needed by the White Sox, decides, if that's the way it's going to be, I'm going to retire. And everybody was up in arms. Some people were mad at Adam LaRoche. Other people were mad at the Chicago White Sox. Well, this week, an article comes out in ESPN where they did an interview with Adam LaRoche. And he tells the real story. Because the reason why he retired wasn't exactly just because his son Drake couldn't come in the ballpark anymore. For those of you that care, Adam LaRoche was a part of the financial backing of a company called Duck Commanders, Duck Dynasty. He's a part of that. Not only that, but he owns this ranch called E3 Ranches where they raise cattle. So if you ever go to Outback and have a steak, there's a very good chance you're eating steak from his ranch. But this is the bigger picture. This past summer, Adam LaRoche and this next guy, Blair, I wrote his name down. Blaine Boyer. He's a pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. Adam LaRoche and Blaine Boyer went to Southeast Asia with this organization called Exodus Road. They wore cameras, secret cameras, hidden cameras. And they went into the brothels in Southeast Asia trying to find little girls your age, girls, who'd been sold into sex trafficking. And it so rocked his world that he had this thought. He's flying back from the brothels of Southeast Asia with his buddy who's also a pitcher. And he has this thought, how can I go back and play professional baseball when there are girls your age being sold into prostitution? He said, I can't do it. And he just decided, watch, to quit. And everybody goes, that's absurd. But he stands out. Well, maybe that's, Stuart, that's extreme. Consider this young lady. Her name, next picture, is Lane Crawford. Oh, senior high guys. I coached Lane for 4 years in basketball. Lane, her senior year at our high school, we have a football homecoming queen, a basketball homecoming queen. Lane, her senior year, was voted the basketball homecoming queen. Here's what's amazing about that. The way we do homecoming at our high school for basketball is that the girls play first, and then at halftime of the boys' game, they present the court for homecoming, which means Lane and several other of our girls, my daughter was one of them, are all sweaty after playing a game. Then they have to rush into the locker room. Some ladies, you can just imagine what this scene is like. They rush into the locker room where they have moms and aunties and friends in there, and they're helping them get dressed so that they can come out at halftime of the boys' game and be presented. So my daughter's a junior when Lane wins homecoming queen her senior year. And when all is said and done, my wife was in there helping my daughter, and they came home with this look of awe. I said, I'm excited too about Lane winning, but what's the deal? They said, Stuart, you would not believe what Lane was like in the locker room. It was literal chaos because we had, I think, about 7 girls off the basketball team that were on the court. Our locker room's not that big. We have a very small bathroom. And all these people, it literally looked like toddlers and tiaras in there. All these moms trying to and put on makeup and all this kind of stuff. And people were yelling, and it was tense. And my wife, Kelly, and my daughter, Chandler, said, and we look over, and there's Elaine Crawford sitting in her locker, and she doesn't even have her dress on yet. She just sat there. And at one point, she got up, and she started helping other girls in the court get dressed. And it wasn't until all the other girls on the court left the locker room that Lane goes, without her mom, without any help, puts on her dress, hurries and does her makeup. And when my wife went back in to check on her, my wife asked her, why'd you do that? And she said, just wanted to let everybody else go first. That's absurd. If you don't think people notice that kind of servant attitude, she was voted homecoming queen. And here's the last thing that I'll share. Can you put up the next picture? And I'm going to try to tell this story without crying. This is Kinsey Grace Case. I think we have a couple of pictures. Not of me. The young lady on your right, my left, is Callie Case. If you're a softball player, girls, Callie Case plays for University of Alabama. Thank you. It's her sister Kelsey on your left, my right. I think we have another picture. Some of you that are older may recognize Callie's dad, that gentleman that looks like a Civil War general right there to the left. His name is Scott Case, who won a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys and played with the Atlanta Falcons. He was a defensive back. That's Connie Case. No, go back. That's Connie Case, the mom, right there in the middle. Kyler, the older brother. Kelsey. You can go to the next picture now. Yesterday, this family with grown adult children, Callie's the youngest and graduates from college this year. Mom is 53 years old. Dad is 54 years old. Adopted this little girl. They got her when she was 4 weeks old. They met the mom in a drug rehab center who asked if they would take care of the daughter after she was born until she could get clean. The mom couldn't get clean. And so Scott and Connie decide, we have 2 sons and 2 daughters. We're 53 and 54 years old. When Grace Case graduates from high school, we will be 70. But she needs us to love her. So they adopt her. It's absurd. I called Connie today, and I'm like, are you crazy? But watch. You just live in the simple. What does this little girl need? She needs our love. She'll be ours. And if we get too old, we'll give her to Callie. And if Callie can't handle her, we'll give her to Kyler. But we are going to be absurd because that's the way that Jesus was for us. So who is it and what is it for you? Psst, don't think about what happens tomorrow. Don't think about what will happen this week. I want you to think about those people you are doing life with all the time. I want you to think about your neighbor, your teammate, your classmate. What's the simple thing that will look absurd? Jesus, here's what I pray. As we begin this journey together this weekend, what we really need more than anything else is courage. It will be easy for us to serve people this weekend. It will be so incredibly hard to transfer this to Monday. So I ask for all of us in this room, would you give us a spirit, a mind, and a heart of absurd, illogical, wildly unreasonable love? Would you begin that in us? Students, look at me. This is what we're praying, that we go from this to this. Do it with me. From this to this. From this, put your arm around the person next to you, to this. It never fails. When middle school boys touch people, they just start talking. So Jesus, that's what we're praying for. That's what we're asking for. That's what we're declaring. That's what we need you to do in our hearts. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Hey, let's thank Stuart.
Wow.
Wow. What a start to the weekend. Wow. This
Yeah,
is
that
awesome.
was really good. Yeah, it's crazy to think that we're real excited about what's going to happen tomorrow, but it really needs to happen. It needs to go beyond.
Absolutely.
that, so.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of this weekend. It doesn't end here.
Yeah. All right, so the plan for the rest of the night is this. We're going to be doing we want to have conversations about this stuff. Like a lot of these things require us to have conversations. Like Stuart said, a lot of stuff that needs to be had a talk about. So we're gonna have small groups. So high school is actually going to be taking off and doing their small group not here at the building. So what you need to do if you're in high school is you need to find your leaders out in the lobby when we dismiss, get together and figure out where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Yeah, and make sure you pick up some supplies in the Grow Zone hallway for the projects tomorrow.
Yep. Middle school. You guys are going to be meeting here in the building. Listen, most of you are going to be meeting where you normally meet. Okay, so if your small group leader is here and you'll be meeting normally where you meet, but there are 6 groups we had to move. So we've got a slide that should show that. If you see your small group leader's name up here, this is where you're going to be meeting instead of where you normally meet. All right? So we've got about 5 minutes, middle schoolers and leaders, to get to your small groups. High school, hang out there. Like Kyle said, don't forget to get your supplies for serving tomorrow, leaders.
Yeah, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.